this show affords me the opportunity to meet some great people of Frederick, and I get the great honor of sharing them with you, our viewers at Good Morning Frederick. And Bryce Griffler is one of those people. Safety is for everyone is your company. Is that correct? Did I get that right?
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Okay, so while I totally agree, safety is for everyone. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the company and when it was established?
Yeah, and thanks so much for having me today, Danny. And I'm excited to be here on Good Morning Frederick. So, originally, actually stood up the company in September of last year, and it's been a long time coming. So, my background is as an engineer. I like to call myself a recovering engineer. It's my training and education was in, and um, at some point in my career, it's a storied history, but at some point in my career, I had the opportunity to get a little bit more involved in diversity, equity, and inclusion, specifically training myself and then helping educate others. And I had some great experiences where I was able to foster what I call people's aha moments, these moments of, oh, I get it. I understand the business case and how inclusion impacts the bottom line. It's not about what we call, sometimes you hear being woke. It's about doing the right thing and also recognizing what it means for the businesses and the communities where we operate. And so, kind of fast forward, I had a lot of opportunities to speak in front of audiences. And finally, at some point, I kind of looked around and said, it's fulfilling, but I can't keep doing this without some structure behind it, right? And making sure that I'm driving value for what it is that I'm bringing to these businesses and communities. So that's where I am today, is as a training, consulting, and speaking company. Safety is because that's what I work in now, is environmental health and safety. And the best part about that is nobody will ever argue that safety is not good for people, it's
Right.
not good for business, but it spans beyond just like safety in the workplace, right? It's like psychological safety, the safety and comfort of being your true, full, authentic self in everything that you do. Danny, you and I were just talking before we got on here about how you are able to be your full, true self in these video podcasts. And that's just so remarkable and allows you to bring so much more value to Good Morning Frederick because of it.
Yeah, very cool. I'm actually most interested in how an engineer is so comfortable speaking publicly and with the charisma that you have. It doesn't quite line up for me, but I love it.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? And arguably, that is my privilege. My privilege in that I am often put in rooms in front of leaders, decision makers, business partners, and other engineers, and yet I can come and
Yeah.
speak and educate and listen and be
Yeah.
vulnerable, and that's the beauty of it all.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. So tell me, what can Frederick do as a community to support the efforts that you're making with local organizations?
Yeah, so I think as individuals that are in our community, it's up to us to really step up as leaders and recognize that there's always something we can be doing better. It doesn't mean that we're not good now. It doesn't mean that we're bad people now, but it means that we, in order to remain competitive in a global market, in order to continue to be enticing to local customers, we always have to be looking for that next thing. What is that next thing? Is it a focus on how we're marketing, right? Is it a focus on how we are appealing to our own employees and keeping them, right? Retention is so important. And so, in answer to your question, I think it's as leaders in our community, it's doing some introspection to say, okay, I'm not a bad person for looking for what else I need to improve. So in health and safety, we call that continuous improvement. Every day, we are relentlessly scouring for opportunities to be better. And so doing the same thing in our own, whether you're in a small business, whether you are work for a large corporation, whether it's a volunteer organization somewhere, maybe it's your local church or a youth group, looking around to find those ways. Where can I maybe bring someone in to come and speak with us or do some more educating or collaboration? Where can I open my mind and ask questions that maybe make me uncomfortable, but that's where I'm going to grow. I'm going to grow personally and professionally by having some of those uncomfortable conversations. So, encouraging everyone to take that first step outside of your comfort zone and take it as a great learning opportunity. And so maybe that's a very deliberate step in hiring somebody who's a thought leader to actually come in and speak with your organization, or maybe it's something as simple as going to one of your coworkers or peers and asking questions that you've always been intrigued to ask about, but have never felt comfortable doing so, out of fear, out of confusion, because that discomfort is where we're going to see that personal and professional growth.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think it's really great that you're able to step out and ask those questions and get people to, respond and enact, some of the changes. And speaking of that, like, what are some of the, I guess, just broad level things that you've seen implemented once you were able to speak to an organization? Do you have some examples of that?
Yeah, so the examples span the full gamut, right? So I have seen organizations that I have helped stand up global inclusion campaigns, right? Involves signing a pledge and wearing a pin that you signify that you've signed the pledge, and going out of your way to join activities, especially related to demographics or affinities to which you don't belong, and then all the way down to very individual and targeted efforts and experiences where we are having maybe facilitated conversations with just 4 to 5 people, those critical conversations, and then having people come back to you months later. They're like, that was the start of me really being vulnerable. I didn't realize just how powerful me being vulnerable. Then my coworkers, my peers around me saw that power and they were willing to be vulnerable, and it just cleared the air. And so you can, it's to what extent that you're comfortable with. But I've seen the full gamut of kind of those individual, more targeted, specific kind of circle group meetings, well facilitated, of course, or to those more broad global campaigns. I've seen both do wonders for organizations and our communities.
Yes, absolutely. Now, how can an organization get in touch with you, whether they want you as a speaker or more consultative to help them to implement some of these changes? How can they get to you?
Yeah, so our website, www.safetyisforeveryone.com, safetyisforeveryone.com, has ways you can reach out to us. Also has some podcasts we've been featured on, some articles that myself and my business partner have been featured on. We make a fantastic couple of business owners. We are extremely different in so many ways, and that's what makes it so fantastic. You'll see a variety of topic areas that we specialize in, but I gotta say, Danny, as of late, a lot of the organizations that are reaching out to us are asking for us to build and develop content that we hadn't previously done before. Of course, we're more than happy to do that. The content and the data, a lot of it is available out there, but getting it collated, compiled into a manner that can be delivered by experienced adult educators, that's where organizations are looking for support. And then, of course, that engagement piece, right? It can be so challenging to find an engaging educator, speaker, webinar host nowadays, right? Especially with how challenging it can be to just talk to a camera. And so we're happy to build out custom content as well. Our partners have been extremely pleased with that. Safetyisforeveryone.com.
That's unreal. Look, amazing that it's only been a year of you actually, committing to this full time. Do you feel like you've been doing it longer, or do you feel like, oh my gosh, time is flying?
Yeah, I feel like it has just been constant learning, which we like to say it's always a journey, it's always about learning, but I feel as though every week there's something else. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know that was going to be the case, whether it's pertaining to taxes, whether it's pertaining to technology that different organizations use, whether it's pertaining to questions that we receive, right? We specialize in fielding really uncomfortable conversations and questions, and I still periodically get questions like, I that is not something I would have expected to get, and let's jump into that. Let's peel that back and let's talk about it. And so yeah, I think it's felt like a really good time. But yeah, a year, it is bananas that it's already been a full year. I can't believe it.
I know when you're kind of caught up in it, it's like just it's day by day, right? And then you suddenly
Right.
you look back, you go, "Holy cow, there we are." So that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. If there was one thing that you wanted Frederick to know about the organization, or if there was one takeaway they had, what would that be for you?
I would say the biggest takeaway is that our organization is not um, on a mission to change you or other people or make anyone woke. Our organization is on a mission to offer tools, data, and storytelling to help people make their organizations and their communities the best they can be, to make them appealing, to keep retain your employees, to make you a world class church, youth group, whatever recreational organization that you are. We have all of that to help enable that and give you kind of a second look. So that's the biggest thing. Is sometimes with all of this data, the sentiment is that, are you telling me I'm a bad person? I've been doing things wrong all of my life, and
Yeah.
I would get no benefit out of telling you you're a bad person or
Yeah.
guilting you. That's absolutely not the goal. The mission is to take, again, that combination of data, and there's my engineer showing again, right? The
Yes,
combination of
yeah.
data combined with the power of storytelling, and then enable business leaders and community leaders to make decisions that are best for their organizations.
That's amazing. Kind of a basis that you're laying and groundwork for building a better community. I absolutely love it. We really appreciate your time, and certainly I think we should revisit, have you back in a bit, just to kind of revisit, remind, and let people know how things are going.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love the opportunity. Thanks so much for having me today on the show, Danny, and appreciate everyone watching on Good Morning Frederick. But happy to be here and happy to keep the conversation going in the future as well.
Absolutely.